have here Ari Taub on the mat now, 120 kilograms, a Canadian wrestler, and he's wrestling against another Canadian, Shawn Geris. And Shawn is originally from London. He's the son of Ari Geris, a three-time Olympian from London, and a wrestler who is so well known in this area, not only for his wrestling but his contribution. And speaking of contributions, we really ought to mention the contribution of the London Western Wrestling Club, and particularly Joseph Marcosi, to establishing this meet and giving Canadian wrestlers the opportunity to compete on the international stage on a home level. And I think that's very, very important. Perhaps you could give us a little insight into Ari's background and some about Shawn, Mark.
Ari Taub's a senior national champion at 120 kilos, and both Greco and freestyle wrestling. And Shawn's very fortunate on Father's Day to have his father in the corner, Ari Geris, which is pretty exciting.
Indeed it is, yeah. And Shawn he's a police officer in the area. He's done a little bit of ultimate fighting, so he's used to combative sports. He's a tough customer. He is in tough against a very experienced Ari Taub. And Ari appears to have a little size on him as well. And Ari is attempting a throw. This will be an interesting call. He did make the throw. He completed it, but he wasn't able to throw Shawn to his back. He did get credit for that effort and 1 point, rather than the 3 that we would see if he had landed on his back. So you have to give credit to both wrestlers here. An outstanding try by Ari, but Shawn did a good job of not going onto his back.
And fortunate that Shawn scored that point, because that puts Ari down as the first guy to go down in parterre, and then at 30 seconds, then Shawn's going to probably have to go down in parterre.
Yeah, and that's one of the differences between freestyle and Greco, is the way in which they conduct the match. They're trying to create some action. So at the end of the 1 minute into the first round here, we see the wrestlers in the parterre position to create some variety.
And Shawn has 15 seconds to score, turn Ari to his back, but Ari's has a very good defense here.
Well, they've given 1 point to blue as a caution against red. I'm not sure exactly what that caution is for, Mark, but they sure wagged the finger at Ari.
I think he was holding his hands in, that he couldn't block him with both hands or whatever.
So he wasn't opening enough to let Shawn take the action, and Shawn is obliged to score or he won't get a point. So if Ari can stop him from scoring, then obviously that would be a point in his favor. It backfired on him because he lost a point and he was cautioned for it.
And here we go at 30 seconds, Shawn's going to have to go down, and that's what the white tape is down. He has to have his knees on the back part and his hands on the front part of the tape.
So we have a 2-0 score for Shawn Geris on the bottom, son of local wrestling legend Ari Geris. And on top, Ari Taub. And Ari's obliged now to take the top position. And he'll do this rather quickly. The whistle goes immediately, and Ari wasn't successful in getting the kind of body lock that he wanted to make the throw. But he is able to get a gut wrench move, which gave him 2 points and ties the match at 2-2. But the mat chairman overruled that 2 points and does not allow it. And he's got 2 more. The referee and the mat chairman are not in agreement here, but the score should be 6-2, and it is. I'm not exactly sure what the mat chairman is concerned about, but he's calling them in, and it probably has to do, Mark, with the use of the legs or some sort of action that way. And I have a feeling we're going to end up in a situation where we're reviewing tapes here and having a conference of officials, because the mat chairman clearly did not agree with the mat referee, who was signaling 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 3 times in a row for 3 gut wrenches, making the score 6-2. And as we've talked about before, if you get to 6 points, you win the round. But I didn't see anything which would disqualify those points.
I didn't see really, if he was blocking with his legs, that he couldn't get the gut wrench. It doesn't make sense to me what's going on.
Yeah, it seemed to me as though if the bottom wrestler was using his legs to block that leg gut wrench, then blue would be cautioned. But they're actually not. They're talking about not giving the points to red. Perhaps the judge felt that red was using his legs in that gut wrench. Perhaps he was lifting his lower body, but Time only tells, and we don't have a crystal ball to be able to see what they're thinking here. We'll find out from the referee's deportment in the middle of the match. He's explaining to Tari exactly what the problem was. Unfortunately, we can't hear that conversation. They're probably going to reset the score here. It says the score is now 3-0. They're giving a caution point again to Ari. That would be a second caution. And no points at all. And there's 30 seconds remaining in this round. And I think both wrestlers are shrugging their shoulders, saying, I don't know what's going on. One of the things we have to realize, too, is that the wrestlers aren't always in tune with the new rules, and the new rules come at you rapidly, so they may not be exactly sure. Anyway, the coaches, they're there getting an explanation in the corner, and would that we were there with our microphone.
And I think the refs they're not as familiar as they are with freestyle rules, and I think, it takes a bit of time sometimes to adjust to going from freestyle to Greco, to be watching different things with techniques and stuff like that.
And they have taken away one of the points to Blue, so it's 2-0, and they did not give a caution to Ari. Whatever he did wrong wasn't worthy of a caution, just worthy of taking 6 points away. So now there's less than 15 seconds to go, and really, I think that Red Wrestler deserves to have more points than that, but it'd be interesting to hear from the officials later on what their decision was. Fortunately, we won't be able to do that because they're tied up. And that round ends as we saw it, and Ari's walking to his corner shaking his head, and Shawn's walking to his corner shrugging his shoulders. Whatever they do, it makes no difference. Blue has the first round, so he wins a critical round in a Greco match, and only needs to win one more in order to win the Commonwealth Championship. And I think that Shawn hasn't been training all that hard. We see a little bit of tiredness coming in him, and it would be interesting to see. He hasn't had the opportunity to train as much as Ari. Let's see what happens in the second round, whether Shawn has the endurance to be able to keep this up. And then we see that Ari Geris is rubbing down the sweat off of his son's shoulders. You are obliged to do that because in Greco-Roman especially, one can slip off of your opponent, and that's unfair. So it won't take them long, however, to get that layer of sweat back on their body.
It's a little bit of a different stance than you see in freestyle. They're not afraid to show them their legs. They stand up a little more upright than you would in freestyle wrestling. Because
you don't have to worry about leg attacks, right? And it looks like Ari is trying to get a point, and he did. He simply, in that case, pushed his opponent out of bounds, much like a sumo wrestler would do, and that's worthy of 1 point. People have complained about that being 1 point. It's just been introduced within the last few years. But frankly, the other wrestler is well aware of the fact that if he steps out of bounds, he will lose a point. And Shawn did that, and he lost points, 1-0 for Ari. Shawn's in a good position to throw from there. But Ari's a little taller than Shawn is, and it kind of makes it a little difficult to make a throw. If Ari stands upright, he needs to work Ari's head down a little bit before he can actually get some throwing action, I think. Referee stopped the match. I think he's just going to have a little chat and say, let's have some wrestling, boys. Oh, no, that's the end of the 1 minute, and now we have to go to our ritual of going down. Ari's going to take the up position carefully. He really wants to try to throw Shawn to his back as quickly as he can, and as he steps in, the whistle will go. And Shawn's just moving a little too quickly, but he's received a caution for that. He flinched a little. Shawn's objective is get to his stomach quickly as he can before Ari can make the throw. And Ari's got the grip, and he's going to try his throw now, and Shawn's turned enough in the process that he didn't go to his back, so no points. The objective there was for Ari to pick Shawn up and turn him to his back. And again, only using upper body technique, no legs involved, either in defense or offense. He's trying a gut wrench near the edge. And people yelling from the stands, they think they see some legs involved. And there's a 2-point gut wrench, and the mat judge is nodding his head in agreement, saying that's what I was looking for the first time, and he scored his point. So Ari did score his point. And that gut wrench looked like the other three that I saw, but nevertheless, now Shawn's turn. Can Shawn get the points from this position? Watch his hands lock. I thought Ari got down there pretty quickly, didn't he?
He was very quick on the whistle. He turned his hips in nicely.
That's part of what you have to do, isn't it? "17 seconds left, Mark. It looks as though Shawn may be content to concede this round to Ari and go to the third round and see what a rubber match can do."
And we talked about Shawn's conditioning, so we'll see what happens in the third round with his conditioning here.
I thought he certainly showed that he was a very capable and fierce competitor during the tournament, but as the third round approached, started to show little signs that he hasn't had the opportunity to do the kind of preparation and training that he would like to do. I know that Shawn's a very dedicated athlete, but perhaps just hasn't had the chance to prepare as long as he'd like for this. Kim and Kim in the corner, rubbing down Ari. And Kimmin is one of the Ontario coaches here looking after the Canadian wrestlers. So we come down to a deciding round, 2 minutes. And Mark, what have your impressions been of the Greco-Roman wrestling that we've seen at the Commonwealth Championships over the period of today?
I've been pretty impressed because it helps when there's been a lot of action with the 1 minute rule and the 30-second rule where you get to put the person down in parterre. There's always points being scored, so it's a little bit, you see a little more action than sometimes you do in freestyle.
And isn't that interesting? Because it's certainly not something that we would have predicted a number of years ago, that Greco-Roman wrestling might have a little more action than freestyle wrestling. But I agree with you entirely. That was my impression. Yari's in a good position. Yari got in a very good position with inside control under both arms, and Shawn's instincts and good training came in handy there. He did the right thing and pulled out of there in a hurry. Yari again is inside in both. He'd like to get his hands locked. We can have a spectacular throw from here or absolutely nothing at all. It's very interesting as they get the out of bounds, approaching out of bounds, and we're coming down to the 1 minute and we stopped. So there's 0-0 tie after 1 minute, and we'll repeat what happened in the other rounds with one wrestler going up and the other down.
But there's a coin toss.
Seconds.
There's a coin toss this time because it's a 0-0.
Of course.
At the round, so
right.
There's no one person in charge of the match.
Right. There needed to be that 1 point. So the coin toss dictates that the red wrestler will take the advantage position at the top,
and
blue wrestler down.
And if Ari doesn't score, then blue, Shawn will get the point for the first 30 seconds. And then he's up, and then he has to turn Ari in the last 30 seconds.
So we have 1 minute to go, 30 seconds each on top. Opportunity to score. And Ari turned him for 2 points again. Same technique that he used in the first round and the second round. A good solid gut wrench. Difficult move to do, but if you do it effectively and you learn how to use your technique properly, it's outstanding. And he's trying it again, and it appears as though he's got another 2 points. At least the official on mat has signaled that he scored twice before the 30 seconds came up, and now Shawn is really, really under the gun. He's got to score points, more than 4 points here, Mark, because if he scores two 2-pointers, that may not be enough. Actually, he probably will because he scored the last points, right?
But a nice Olympic lift would be nice.
To get 3.
Or get 5 with the
right. Arms. And then if you do score 5 points, the match would be, the round will be over. Yeah. Shawn's, and therefore the match, because they have 1 round each. That takes quite an effort, especially against a savvy wrestler like Ari. He's not about to let Shawn lift him off the mat completely for a throw for 5 points. And Shawn is running out of time. He's down to 17 seconds to go, and he needs to tie this match up with 2 2-point moves. It looks as though time is fleeting. He's just not going to be able to do it, Mark. But you know what? A credible performance, in my opinion, by Shawn Geris. An outstanding display of guts, because he certainly had conditioning against him, and Yet Ari, a seasoned wrestler, deserving Commonwealth Greco-Roman champion, obviously very happy with himself for that because he was wrestling a very strong opponent. Congratulations, Ari, Commonwealth Greco-Roman champion.